episode 40 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. You're joining once again myself, Chris, with my lovely co-host. Down to the bottom left side, we've got Richie. And that isn't Tom in his elf wig. We've got a special guest this week joining us all the way. I still want to say it's Canada, right?
Yeah.
I got that right. We've got the lovely Meg, or also known as Megatron X, all the way for our own channel, guest appearing for the first time ever. I think the First Lady of Stadia seems to be something that's thrown around a lot. Do you accept that title, or is that something you just kind of don't have a choice now?
It happened, so yeah, that's me.
That's Meg. For those who don't know Meg, got a wonderful channel over on YouTube where you primarily stream Stadia, right? Do you want to tell us a little bit about your channel, what you get up to on a weekly basis for all the listeners and viewers out there who haven't been paying attention and have been living under a rock? Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you get up to?
Yeah, well, my channel, I stream on YouTube, and I am now 100% Stadia content. I originally did a little bit of PlayStation and Stadia kind of mixed in, but now that Stadia has really kind of gotten going, I decided just to, stream only Stadia. I do mostly live streams, but I've had some changes recently in my internet situation, so I'm actually going to be doing more videos. But I do just gameplay, live gameplay, and chatting with people, and then like little highlight videos and stuff like that. Not really news oriented. That's all on my YouTube channel, and I put out content like as often as possible. Certainly a few times a week I have something up there.
Yeah, I've seen you do quite a few 24-hour streams. I know we were talking pre-show about I think you went to sleep at 5 a.m. last night.
Yeah,
early one, and obviously you do a lot of crossover stuff with the guys I know, Chase, Brian as well over at Club Stadia. There's a lot of stuff you do with them as well, and I think the podcast you guys all do over there is fantastic. Which Avenger are you again?
The Black Widow.
Black Widow. I wonder why you ended up with that one. Did you have a choice in that?
I don't know. No, I didn't have a choice in that either. It just happened.
Right. So it's First Lady Stadia, Black Widow, and it's Meg. If they want to follow you on Twitter, it's at Meg _. I won't get it. You'd say it. I won't get it wrong.
You were right. It's Meg _Atron_X.
That'll do it. It's fantastic. But yeah, go check Meg out. Listen to her on the TSI podcast as well, and subscribe to her on Twitter and YouTube for loads of amazing live streams, Stadia chats and conversations as well. And as we said, the First Lady of Stadia as well. So go check that out. From ourselves, Richie, we've been quite busy this week as well. And I know Tom isn't here on the podcast, but we've all been hard work behind the scenes. So a little bit of housekeeping for you at the start of episode 40. First of all, for those who don't know who we are, we've now gone through what Meg does. A couple of things we do. We bring you live streams, Connect reactions, but more importantly, we do live streams as well with games. We've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey on our current series, which is the Road to Valhalla. Meg, have you spent any time playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Is that up in your wheelhouse? What's your history?
Yes, I think I'm level 20 now, and I really like it. It keeps getting pushed back, unfortunately, but I do every now and then I go back and play it again and again because it is a really good game.
Yeah, I think the nature of games in general is there's always something new on the horizon, and we know with Stadia they love to drop content at any given moment, so you can go from being half buried in a massive open world game to there's something new and shiny to play, so we'll jump straight over to that. But yeah,
exactly.
For me. Luckily, Chris is live streaming the whole thing, so I can just jump out and watch him.
Yeah, in the live stream, we've actually surpassed the point Richie is at in his own playthrough now. So he's at that point where he just watches me play, like a cooperative game. So we're up to chapter 6 now, and for anyone who's new to watching that stream, we do strip out all the side content. So with it being a massive open world, I do that on the side off camera, and then when we come to the actual stream, it is just purely Cassandra's story. So you don't have to hang around while we go and do random quests to find 10 goats for a random farmer. It's very specific to the story. So jump in and check us out. There's hours worth of content to check there. Richie, you've reached the finale of your own Let's Play that drops every Saturday. We're finally there. Yes. You've done it.
Yep, Lost Words, Beyond the Page. The finale is out. Should be out now, actually, by the time you're watching this. It's a great game. Go watch it. It's all on our YouTube channel. So
it's all up there to watch. On demand, episodic, just binge watch it now like Netflix. It's all there in its entirety, so go check that out. We also had a busy with one of your friends, Meg. We were over with on his own SSC podcast on Thursday, talking about all the uproar about the Stadia Community, Mixer, CyberPunk, all that stuff that you guys covered on the TSI podcast as well. It just seems to be the topic of conversation at the moment, which I think, thankfully, our news week doesn't seem to be that highlighted by that. But the weeks just get busy and busy. I love this time of year because of how much gaming news there is. You can't scroll through social media without something new popping off. Speaking of social media, actually, we're also partnered with the Stadia UK Facebook group. So it's facebook.com/groups/Google Stadia UK group. And it's basically anyone out there like ourselves, like the three of us, who are into Stadia, into gaming, like-minded individuals who love a good bit of conversation and chatter. Head over there, like the page, and basically just get involved in the conversation. If you're one of those people who's in the small Stadia community, Meg, you'll know all about that as well. How easy is it to get in this community and just chat to new people? Like, I feel like I know about 100 new people now than I did 6 months ago, and I feel so much more relaxed and open to engaging with them than I probably ever have done on social media because they're such great people.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really good community, and you see the same faces in everybody's streams, and when you stop by, you're like, oh, hey, you're here too, and everybody's just hanging out and laughing.
It's wonderful. It's super chill, and again, if you're interested in that, head over to Facebook and check that out. And then the final piece of housekeeping before we get into the busiest segment of the week is Wavebreak dropped this past Tuesday as well. Meg, you were just telling us beforehand, you've done a little bit of Wavebreak playthrough. Didn't go quite as well as you planned in terms of capturing the footage. You had the same problem we've had before. Didn't capture your audio, correct?
No, it's just me with my mouth moving and no sound. So
it happens to the best of us. You could always go back with the footage and just redub and guess what you said along the way.
I thought of doing that, and I may just use it as I may just put my own commentary on me playing, but we'll see. I honestly, that game, I don't have any experience with trick games or skateboarding games. So, I cannot even ride a rail, so I don't know if it's even worth showing people.
You know what? I have a bit of experience with Tony Hawk, and that game is so much harder to control. After doing the stream, I was starting to get it, but sometimes the muscle memory from Tony Hawk was actually screwing me over.
Just takes control.
The control of this game is slightly different in some places.
Yeah.
Oh man.
As someone who did play a little bit of Tony Hawk's as a kid, but then having so detached from it in real life and in the world of gaming, playing Wavebreak, I enjoyed the multiplayer where you get to kill your opponents, but not the one where you have to do points, because I just can't do that. It's the same reason I'm not good at fighting games. I can't deal with mass combination after combination and multitasking at one time. I can't keep up with it anymore. But if you are interested in that 80s synth wave pop, bears on jet skis kind of action, head over to our channel, where we've got it's about a two and a bit hour, I think, Richie, we went for with Tom. Tom was there. Tom, just to prove Tom does exist, he was on the Wavebreak stream with us. We were all rocking some neon fancy Hawaiian shirts and sunglasses, making it all themed correctly. Really fun bit of entertainment to have, and you've still got them £10 free on Stadia to spend, so you can pick it up for a sweet price tag at the moment too. But that's it for housekeeping. So with Tom's absence, what I'd like to do is pass the opening for this next segment over to Meg. If you could introduce the
super sexy special Stadia Stories segment, aka the news.
There we go. Wonderful. Thank you for that, Meg. I believe you are the first I suppose one of us has done it, right, Richie? When Tom
I've done it, I think maybe twice.
You've done it twice,
but
so
I'm not going to lie. The first time I had to do it, the first time Tom missed one, was about 20 minutes before the show, I was sat there saying it over and over and over again.
Get it in your head. Yeah, but Meg, you did say before it's a bit of a tongue twister. I don't want to mess it up. You did superbly there, so thank you very much. We may not even use Tom anymore. We might just audio clip that out and just replace his voice. When you mentioned about overdubbing, we'll just let Tom say it next week. But then when I edit the video afterwards, I'll just edit your piece over the top and confuse the hell out of everyone. But thank you for that. So, like you said, yes, we are in the news segment, the biggest chunk of our show, as always, because as mentioned, we are in the middle of a crazy summer of gaming, and the stories just keep on coming out. So, beginning of this week, we got I'd probably say that arguably the biggest legitimate news story of the week is we got our July Pro Games announced. really exciting. I felt like we got them really early this month, right? I feel like they've kept us hanging on till almost the last moment, and then these ones get dropped on, I think it was like 23rd, 24th. Still not far away, but a lot sooner than we thought. We've got the games in question. We got Creator, which we've knew for a while about, actually. I know a couple of people have been playing it, or watching along with the channel. The creators themselves have been, the creators of Creator, have been showcasing this game for weeks now, since its announcement. We knew it was coming first to Stadia. We've got it as a July Pro game. Meg, I'm really keen to get your thoughts on what you think of this game are. I know Tom's got really excitement levels building hype for it. Richie and myself are really interested in doing like kind of community levels and making our own games within it. What's your take on Creator? Are you hyped?
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I'm so excited to see what the community makes, because I've seen so many people with so many different ideas of crazy games. I have an idea for like a world I want to make, not necessarily a game, but I am really excited to play what other people are making and get in there. And there's lots of character customization, which I love. I love customizing my character and picking everything like that. And I think it's going to be really cool for all of us Stadia people to have like a social space to hang out. There's lots of like social hubs in there, and you can have up to like 20 people in some of the games. So I think it's going to be great for the community.
Yeah, I think that's the big excitement of this game, is that you can make your own stuff however you want. And I think when we think of the games available on Stadia, aside from Destiny, I can't really picture a hub world where you can like socialize and join in with each other doing different things. I mean, you can do it in PUBG, but everyone just runs around hitting each other with pans and throwing apples at each other. There's nothing.
And you get about 30 seconds.
Yeah, you get a time limit.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really excited by it. What's your history, Meg, with kind of creative games? Like we said on last week's episode, we're really big fans of like it was The Sims back in the day, RTS games, making your own maps, making your own campaigns, fortresses. Enemy AI and creating your own skirmish missions. What's your history with games with like creation tools, respectively?
Well, definitely Minecraft. I played a lot of Minecraft in my day. And The Sims. I'm a huge Sims fan. I've had all the Sims games since the first one. So I've basically been playing it like my whole gaming life. And I still every now and then boot it up, and like Sims is just awesome, and it's the same idea. I love building houses and customizing your people. So to be able to take that to a whole other level and actually make a game that people can play with you, I think is just so cool.
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit last week. It said these kind of games that now seem to be popping up all over the place. I think Minecraft did kickstart that whole genre of just living that world. And we said almost the biggest element of the game itself is the creativity. You have unlimited resources to do what you want. And you see it a lot with Minecraft, that people just put hours and hours into it. And the enjoyment doesn't come from necessarily the gameplay, but the creativity side of it. And I think Creator is looking like one of those really big hype games that it's a modern version of Minecraft where everything doesn't have to be blocky. You can actually do your own rules, your regulations. You can control, I think they said, like your gravity, your weapons, your respawns, the actual behind-the-scenes mechanics that go into the actual gameplay, it's a whole world of excitement, I think, waiting for people. And the fact we get it for free, huge.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That can't be denied. It's yet another free pro game that we get. Another month of 4 games. That's crazy exciting. I know, Meg, you've got quite a big following as well in your chat on YouTube channels and stuff. Have you threw around any ideas with them yet about what games they want to make or get you to play alongside them?
Yeah, a few people have told me some of their ideas of like a puzzle game or some that are more action-y. So I'm pretty basic, like I don't know how to do any coding or anything. So I'm gonna create like a map for like a team deathmatch or captures a flag or something like that. But yeah, definitely people in the community have big plans for this game, so it should be interesting.
I mean, creating your own world gives you a nice advantage when you're playing against other people online.
You know all the secrets.
Have an entire loop of tunnels underground that nobody else knows about but you. Secret password. You could do that. You could do that as well. Tip the scales in your way. Richie, have you got any grand ideas for a game within Creator?
No, not really. The thing that always excites me about these sort of games is not necessarily what people are going to create in the game itself. It's what it might inspire people to create going forward. So how many kids might be playing a game like this might be inspired to go into game development and create something like the next Last of Us, and this could be that starting point that thought, well, actually I can do game development, I've made a game.
Yeah.
That's what makes me so interested and so excited about these games. Not necessarily what I'm going to do with them, it's what other people will.
Yeah, I think as far as we used to be taught in school, Richie, in computer class, was I think we were shown like basic HTML coding for like a website or something, and like you're talking super basic. And like I said, now kids have the tools basically at their disposal for free. We've seen it with PlayStation, with Dreams. Some of the recreations people have made in that, like the beyond some of the AA, AAA games already on the market by these massive studios. And here we are, one individual sat in the bedroom using Creator, Minecraft, something like that. They can come up with entire worlds just devoting the time to it. We see it with the likes of Unreal Engine and indie developers coming out with games that back in the day would be classed as maybe like AA games, and they can do it off their own back, and it's amazing just to see how like the creative elements can really come to life. Other games we got announced for our pro games too. We got Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. I know Tom was personally super excited about this one. The art style, the whimsical story, and more important, the gameplay as well. He was really hyped for. Does this do anything?
I'm excited about this. It's the intro. The trailers like remind me so much of Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes, really does. I think for me it was the fact as soon as I saw the pig with the eye patch. That's that kind of like whimsical character who was like, I'm sold, I'm in, you've done it for me, you've done it. Anyone surprised we got this as a free game? I think it came out of nowhere. I thought it was one of the bigger titles, not necessarily a huge title, but...
I am a little surprised, but I'm kind of glad, to be honest, because it's one of them games where I was interested in it. Depending when it came out and what else came out around it, could have quite easily just been missed. Now it's on Pro, I'm definitely playing it.
Yeah. Meg, what's your take on this one?
I'm happy it's pro because it's definitely not a game that I would have invested in. So it's fun for me to get to try something a little bit different. Platformers aren't really my thing. So I'm happy that we got it for free because I get to try a new game. And sometimes I've been surprised with some of the pro games that I didn't think I'd like, and then I end up loving them. So I'm happy to see, this game come pro, and I will check it out. I'm no guarantees I'm going to love it, but I will check it out.
Yeah, I'm in the same camp with you where it looks great, but I probably would never have actually put my own money down for it. I would have probably spoke to Tom, who'd gush about it and say how great this is, but it's one that I always say I admire certain games from a distance. Like, I appreciate them for everything they do, the story, but they're just not my type of game. But with this being a pro game, again, it just gives you a great opportunity to jump into. If I think of the last couple of months, I played a bit of Panzer Dragoon, which I know, again, Tom loved growing up, but I'd never even knew of its existence until the kind of remaster announcement. Jumped in, had a play around last month. Again, still not really my type of game. I don't think it holds up that well. Just being on an on-rail shooter, it's quite limited to your engagement. I feel like games now have gone so much more beyond just going left and right, up and down. It felt more arcadey than I probably wanted it to be from a game. And in terms of, I think, last month as well, what else did I play? I just had it on the tip of my tongue. What other games came out last month? Oh, it was... sorry, I've got it. It's Zombie Army 4. Was another one that it was there, jumped into, thought it looks fun. I knew it was from the Sniper Elite, but I've never played a Sniper Elite game either, and thoroughly loved it. Played through most of the campaigns so far in the time I've had. It's just like daft shoot 'em up fun. I know the guys over at Stadia Source have done loads of playthroughs of that. If you've not played already, it's one of those more lethargic games. You don't have to think too much. You just pop in zombie skulls with rifles and shotguns, and it's just satisfying. There's something satisfying about it. But satisfying wise as well, one of the other pro games we got, SteamWorld Dig. Bit of an odd one for me, this. Bringing out the original after the sequel's already been out. And we also got the sequel as a pro game, if I'm not mistaken. So, what do we think happened here with this one? Do we think it was a case of we need more games for pro this month? Let's dig in at the bag and see what we've got? Or was this always strategically going to happen? Either feel happy to take this.
I don't think it was strategic. I think, if anything, maybe they've brought out two in hoping to boost the sales of one because, I've got two free, I'll drop my money on one playthrough that first. And maybe the sales numbers aren't as good as I'd like. And I sometimes wonder, at Google giving you these games to almost massage the figures a bit. Look how many people have got this game. Most of them have got them for free, so when they're pitching to other people, it could be a bit of that going on. But it's really hard to say. It feels like it's not even necessary in this month's pro games.
Yeah, I totally agree. Even if I think if we just got Crater and Monster Boy this month, that would have been probably adequate from my opinion. I know the internet have now conditioned us to thinking that you're going to get 4 months. I think the first month we generally either get just 1 or 2. There's probably going to be some upset out there. Meg, have you played much of the other SteamWorld games we got? What's your take on giving us the original after the fact they've given us 2 other titles already? Or 3 other titles? Do we get all 3? Can't remember.
I think we got 3 all of them. I'm not sure.
2 in Quest, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know if we got Heist.
Yeah.
And now we're getting Dig 1. So.
Right, Dig 1. What's your views on this one?
I wasn't energized. I tried a little bit of, I guess it was SteamWorld Dig 2. And I played it once and then was like, yeah, I think I'll just move on from that. So I was not very energized to see that. However, some people in the community do really love these games and are excited. But I know that some people already did buy this one because they liked the second one. So they were like, oh, well, more, So there's always that kind of sadness of having bought a game that then comes for free for them. So hopefully some people are happy to get that one, but myself personally, I wasn't that excited.
Yeah.
At least the game didn't drop last month. Then a month later it was pro, they didn't get packed.
Yeah, that was painful.
That was a bitter pill to swallow, that one. I think, again, in my opinion, it just makes us kind of feel more reserved to making a purchase, especially on the indie titles. Because I think now they give us up to 4 games a month now. It's surely more games that were given as free than are actually added, it would seem, at some point. And we are reaching almost that saturation point where I don't think there's many games left in the Stadia library that we haven't had, outside of the top end Red Dead Redemption 2 ones.
Yeah,
there's not left to dig into the bag to give us, is there? When I'm thinking, I think last we checked, Richie, there was 40 plus games, and I feel like we've had about 30 through Pro alone. So again, this always lends it. Yeah, this always lends it back to my theory that if Stadia ever wanted to go on that full Netflix model, all the games are free. This is a great way of slowly getting us to that point where anyone who's on Pro, if we already have 3/4 of the library anyway, what's that extra? Is there only going to be caveat AAA games that you pay maybe as an additional premium for? But at the moment, I feel like every indie game is just going to be on Pro at some point, or every older game. At the moment,
they're determined to keep the value of the Pro subscription nice and high, to entice people into that Pro subscription. Because bear in mind, there's basically no cost of entry for Google Stadia, and they want to make the money somehow.
Yeah,
they'll make a bit off the game sales, but if they can get $10 a month out of you regularly, it's a stable income.
Very true. Yeah. Very true. That's the subscription model that every business strives for at the moment, isn't it? And then the final game we got West of Loathing, the old Western stick cartoon drawing. It's a platform shooter kind of thing, isn't it? With I think massive underlines of comedy. Meg, have you played this before on Steam or anywhere where it's been out?
I haven't. No, I haven't played it before, but I'm excited to try it. I think it looks really quirky, and I haven't really played a game like that. It's stick people. I don't know. I find it kind of intriguing, and it's black and white. It's literally they just turned somebody's doodles into a game. So yeah, I'm gonna check that one out for sure.
Richie, you've got a keen eye for this one, haven't you? Just because it's almost got that South Park-esque comedy level to it, where it's really dry. It doesn't take itself seriously. It does stand out, because of like you're saying with the colour palette there, Meg. The black and white does transist against every other game in the entire games library. It's just so contrast to everything. I know it gets a lot of shit because it is black and white, and people think, oh, what even is this? It's not even a game. It looks more like a Flash game you would get back in the early 2000s.
It does,
but it's in our libriries now. Will be anyway.
There is more than just black and white. Health bars are in red.
Oh, okay. 3 colours.
Okay.
3 colours.
Okay.
It's not just black and white, so
this leads me on to a question. I'll give the two of you then. With us getting all these games kind of month after month after month, and our libraries expand constantly. Do you guys hope that eventually Stadia implements something where we can hide the games from our library? Sometimes you get a free game that you don't want, or you don't like, and it depends on how maybe meticulous you are. Personally, if I have if someone gets me a DVD or a gift, I've got one. So on my collection behind me, on the movie collection, someone bought me. I think it's 21 and Over. I think is the name of the movie. didn't want it, never saw it. I think I got it as like a gift because someone meant to get me the Hangover or something movie instead. And I ended up with it, and I don't want to throw it away because it was a gift, but I've hid it behind the other disc so you can't see it in the actual thing. And it's just one thing where I don't want to throw it away because it was a gift. But in terms of like the library, I'm one of those people where if I look through my Stadia games list, there are a couple of titles in there which I never would have bought. They don't interest me, but I've got them for free, so I've claimed them. But as time goes by, would either of you two maybe want the option to hide it from your library, or is that just me being too particular?
I don't necessarily think you need to hide, but some sort of inventory management, some sort of folder system, whatever it is, so you can filter out games. So, especially as your library gets bigger, because theoretically, Stadia is not going to suffer the same thing with like a generational reset, where you get a nice clean library. If you think of like something like Steam, if you're PC game for years, I've got hundreds of games in my Steam library. You need some sort of way of managing that. Yeah,
it's definitely getting a little bit out of control. I think even on the storefront, it struggles with finding games now. I think I look at the see all pro deals, see all games, and then I find myself scrolling, and then I'll inevitably go past the game I'm looking for because I'm not paying attention. And then I'm thinking, it's not even out yet. I thought it was, and scroll back and find it. There's definitely some refinement, I think, that could be done to it, but maybe just me who wants to be able to hide everything that I don't like. Just minimise it out the way. Shrink them windows. But either way, both of you excited for the July Pro games, all in all? Did you want more, possibly? Or was there any titles that you weren't expecting?
I wasn't expecting either Monster Boy or West of Loathing, but I'm happy we're getting
them. Happy we got them. Happy we're getting them. I suppose actually it's 3-4 days from the point of recording where we're going to get to play them. And I think Creator's definitely the big one. And I think the other ones we'll probably all jump into at some point and spend some time on. But that's another month, and for all we know, at the Connect they could drop. It wouldn't surprise me if we get another drop at the Connect for like a big game. I mean, we got PUBG at the last one, right? So we're going to get 4 free games, and I wouldn't be surprised if come the 14th of July we get like a surprise. And it's available now. And everyone flips out on the Stadia community because we get maybe another Apex Legends game. Who knows? Something like that. Speaking of games coming to Stadia and the Connect, I suppose, that ties quite nicely in with the next story we've got of the week. We've got kind of 2 games that have... some have had more Stadia focus, some haven't. So the SpongeBob Rehydrate Battle for Bikini Bottom game came out on other platforms this week, and all the eagle-eyed people out there, the ones who keep like Duncan from Stadia Source, who clue in on every little bit of news and detail they happen to find. I don't know about you, Meg, but we'd be lost without Stadia Source for getting like news and information. They just seem to find everything at the perfect moment in time. One of them from this week was the trailers for the SpongeBob release, the kind of launch trailer. It had the Stadia logo at the end. Yet here we are, don't have it. The theories begin. Back to CyberPunk marketing once again. It's there. It says you can pre-order. There's the release date. Alas, here we are, trying to scroll through the Stadia storefront to find it, and it's not there. I mean, this means it's coming, right? 100%. I think. What are your takes?
I think it's going to come. It's delayed, obviously, but I mean, they wouldn't. I'm sure they didn't put it on there randomly, but it is. I know there are people in the community who do get frustrated with stuff like that because they're like, well, if it's there, why didn't Google tell us? But I think that I know there was one, I think Ember, that game, they didn't actually know exactly when it was going to release until quite close to when it actually came out. So I think sometimes they're like, yeah, we are building, we are porting the game to Stadia, but we just don't exactly know the date it's going to come. So I think that is probably the issue here, but it definitely does cause a lot of things for us to talk about when we see stuff like this.
Yeah, Richie, what do you think?
I think it's definitely coming to Stadia. It is slightly problematic that the Stadia logo is on the splash screen that actually says out now, and it's not out now in Stadia.
Yeah.
But I'm not overly concerned about that. I think with the delays generally on porting games to Stadia, I think a lot of these developers, we have to remember, have never done this before. They don't know what it takes, how many resources, how long it's going to take or anything. So there's kind of a bit of an unknown quantity there. So, we can get this game over there, but we don't know when.
Yeah, I think, Meg, TSI colleague MM's always says it's about controlling the narrative, and sometimes when all of these things pop off left, right, and centre, especially at this moment in time when we've said the gaming world is afire with news. There's IGN doing their own thing. You've got Jeff Keighley doing Summer Games Fest. You've got GameSpot doing, I think theirs starts this week. You've got Ubisoft with them. There's so many events going on all over the world, and no one can kind of keep up and wrangle all the news together. But then when little things drop like this and says, like you said, Richie, it's out now. There's the Stadia logo. The general public, the unsuspecting gamer MM always refers to, they're going to think it's out. They're going to look. They're not going to know. Like the rest of the really clued in community, the kind of nerdy people who like myself, who loves to know all the little intricacies of everything and when it's coming and all the stuff behind the scenes. The average person who just happens to follow SpongeBob on Facebook or Twitter and sees it's out and watches the trailer and goes, I have Stadia, it's out now, and then they jump over to the app and it's not there. There's not even like a coming soon tile to say the countdown to when it's released. There's no pre-order option on Stadia, which we know. Well, I mean, there is now, but you know what I mean. There's no coming soon splash page on the app, and I think it does unfortunately lead to people having conversations, and rightly so in my opinion, getting a bit frustrated with why don't we know about this. And I think it does lend me again to think that means we're just getting it held back for the Kinect. It's going to be an announcement. It may even be like out now. That might be one of the stealth drops, and I'd be, for some reason I can just imagine someone up at Google's hierarchy saying, oh, we can get you SpongeBob day and date with everything else, and Stadia go, but we do have a Kinect in a few weeks. Tell you what, put a pin in it. We'll come back to. We'll talk about it later on. And the guy's like, "It's done now. Like we can just. It's good to go. It's as good to go as Gods and Monsters was earlier in the month." But the guy's like, "No. We just keep it quiet." And here we are again. It's slipped through the net. We know it's coming to Stadia in theory, and it's just a bit of a mess still with marketing and conversations. And
my worry there is then that kind of takes a bit of the hype away from the Kinect if it ends up being just full of stuff that we're already aware of.
Yeah, like if we I mean, we know we've theorised about Apex Legends coming. I know Eddie and Chase on their kind of after show of the Kinect reaction, the EA reveal, they theorised straight away about it was coming, and they found the news from the Washington Post where the EA press told them it was coming, but then they had to retract that and that tells me it's coming. So I just hope the Kinect isn't filled with, oh, guess what's coming to Stadia, and everyone's like, oh, we already knew. Guess what else is coming? Oh, we already knew. It's just kind of, like I said, it kind of pulls the rug out from under the impact they probably want to have land. But all this goes back to, again, the marketing team and the PR department not getting things quite right. I'm hoping for a big bang from the Kinect. I've said for the last few weeks now since we knew about it, I hope they have something to show, otherwise I don't feel like it's necessary doing one. I'm liking the thought that they've put this date in the calendar to say we have something big to reveal. Otherwise, are we really going to benefit from it? Is the likes of IGN and Kotaku going to pick this up as a big news story if there's nothing relevant to show, or is it just another one of them Stadia streams that it reveals games that are already out, and games like SpongeBob aren't really going to pull in, especially because it's getting average reviews. It's not going to pull in the numbers to Stadia that you'd ideally want. You need some big tentpole games to showcase how much of a low entry point it is to play games. Another good one for me that I'm hoping, fingers crossed for, is Crash Bandicoot 4 was announced at Summer Games Fest. Now, I'm a massive Crash Bandicoot fan. Richie, you know this already. Meg, where do you sit with the Wombat? What's your take on Crash? Got a long history, or you said platformers aren't really your thing, so...
No, I have not played it, and I know that it's really popular, though. A lot of people talk about it like on my streams and my chat and stuff, and they're really hyped for it. So but me personally, no, it's not really my thing. In fact, I think when I was subbed to PlayStation Plus, I even got it for free, one of them, and I didn't even play it. So I'm sorry to say that to you, but it's true.
That's fine. Everyone, for me partially, just because I grew up with it, it was like one of the first games I had on the original PlayStation, and I think naturally I'm at that age now where anything back in the day, nostalgia, it just super appeals to me. In terms of the game coming out, though, it's not. I don't want it to necessarily be Stadia news, but the reason I shared this in the news doc this week is it led to Activision saying they're open to it coming to other platforms. So in the actual article itself, that came out and said it's going to come out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. There's no concrete word yet on PC and other releases, but Activision did say it's evaluating additional platforms for the game, which we've theorized a lot in previous podcast episodes about what Activision's relationship is with Google. They've got big deals going on behind the scenes with YouTube, and they've spent millions in kind of like dealing up that. I think the Call of Duty annual kind of esports competition is now exclusive to YouTube. There's all those kind of things popping off, and we know big companies, they rely on Google for their metadata and all that kind of stuff. So there is stuff going on behind the scenes. We know the big partnerships like EA and Ubisoft are now playing ball with Stadia. So I think the child in me is like, fingers crossed we're going to get some kind of... I'd love to see the Connect with an Activision partnership. If they drop something like Warzone and Crash and the Spyro trilogy and all those other titles that they deal with, I think there's a lot of fire there to really make the Connect like go out with a bang. Am I being crazy, Richie, or is that wishful thinking?
I think you're being a little crazy, to be honest.
No.
It's very. I hope you're right, but there's very little chatter about Activision and Stadia. YouTube and the thing we need to remember is YouTube and Stadia are both owned by Google, but they are effectively separate companies in their own right. And while there's probably conversation there, I think Activision will probably look at the install base of Stadia. And then weigh up, is it worth the effort to bring these over? Yeah. The evaluation that the article refers to about it coming over platforms is probably more performance related, I would have thought. I'd imagine Switch is definitely a big one in there. Will it run? Can we get this to run well on Switch?
Yeah, that's the ironic thing. Like the Crash trilogy and the Spyro trilogy are available on Switch, and as we know now, Apex Legends is coming to Switch, and it doesn't pay me anymore knowing how well Stadia can run AAA games. And yes, they come later to Switch inevitably. They have The Witcher 3 running on Switch, for God's sakes, and here we are with like essentially all the cloud server blades in the world able to run through your Chromecast, through your browser. We know it works. All three of us have a channel running off the power of Stadia. And we don't get the titles, and I think it's these discussions that I kind of fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed is it has to happen at some point. The dam has to break where either it's viable enough for Activision as a business, but more importantly, how much can Google, with all their money and all their data power, just tighten the screw on Activision a little bit and say like, look, if you want future partnerships with us, you need to kind of help us in this one. It's kind of like, come on, help us out here a little bit. I know it's mostly about money, but they've both got enough of it to surely share around and make this a thing. Blue sky thinking, I can dream. I'll be hyped at the Connect if you see Crash walk out. That's done for me.
I mean, that would literally make no matter what happened before the Connect at that point, that would be an awesome set. Yeah. Just for the connotation, that means Activision is now bringing stuff to Stadia. Yeah. That is a big reveal in itself. Yeah, I mean, even then, it's just another. I think it's a string to the bow for Stadia to say like we've got big players. We've seen like the smaller consoles like the PlayStation Vita and stuff, rest in peace, died off the back of the lack of support from third party. Like if you don't get EA on board with the sports titles, if you don't get Ubisoft, if you don't get Activision on board, you miss that cycle of games where everybody, the casual gamer who plays them as an annual basis, they go out every year and buy this game. You're missing that market, and I think if you've just got exclusives or you've just got niche games or older games in the case of Stadia and the Switch, it's missing that big drive that keeps the industry ticking over. Like if Stadia didn't have CyberPunk coming this year, in an entire year of the platform, I should say, being out, we'd have had Avengers, Borderlands, and Doom as the only big games. That's it, which is it's not great for as you said earlier in the show, Meg. Games just come out, you get distracted by something new. I think all three of us we're always looking for what that next thing is. That's the nature of the industry. Fingers crossed. I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right as well, Richie. I'll be hyped. I'll be hyped for it. Speaking of surprises, I've added a story to the doc. I don't know if you can see it, Meg, but it's a story that we probably should touch on this week. Was the announcement from Microsoft, Mixer. We all stream on YouTube. Mixer going, I should say. Out of the blue, out of the green, I suppose, if it's Microsoft. Going. They're partnering with the Facebook Gaming. And just like that, everyone who has their little communities over there, the streamers, the people who, like ourselves, rely on their audiences, they all get shunted over to Facebook Gaming, I believe. They've got some kind of cash incentive for like maybe a month or so. What's your take on that? I think, Meg, do you stream solely on YouTube, or do you do Twitch as well to a degree?
I just stream just on YouTube, especially since I Because I thought about it. I thought about restreaming or, doing that kind of thing. But I'm really banking on like these Stadia YouTube integration features. So for a Stadia channel, I figured that was the right place to be. I was shocked by the Mixer news. They invested so much money in bringing big streamers over from Twitch, millions, tens of millions of dollars, and then to shut the platform down like that and basically just be like, yeah, no, this was just like we tried it and it didn't work. And I feel really bad for all of the streamers over there who invested their time and their blood and sweat and tears into that platform, into building their communities, and then to suddenly just because I think at the end of the month, isn't it? So
it's in July. It's like
in July.
Time frame.
Yeah, with like a month's notice, they're just like, okay, you're out. Like, I think you even need more notice to get evicted. Like, it's just like it's just crazy. Well, I mean, I guess that's worse. But yeah, no, I feel really bad. So I actually hope they all come to YouTube. I know they're trying to do this partnership with Facebook Gaming, but I think I want them to come to YouTube because the more the merrier. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you mentioned big money there, and I think like Ninja is just he's just swooped one of probably the biggest payouts without doing anything. I mean, I personally think it's crazy how much money he gets anyway. I'm sure like well deserved from his end, but when he signed up for Mixer, and it was like a 30 to 60 million pound contract for like exclusivity on Mixer. That's like crazy bags of dollars. And then all of a sudden, just by the way, Mixer's gone. Oh, you can keep all the money and you're free to go back to anywhere else. That's what kind of loop? Like that's a great line of his legal contract that he signed with Mixer there. If shit hits the fan, I get paid still.
Yeah,
it's effectively Microsoft defaulting on this contract. It's like, well, I have a contract with you and you're taking this away, so you need to pay out. And it's probably easier for them to just pay him the money than to go through the court process.
It's just so much.
But yeah, I think I was surprised by the news at first, but I think in hindsight, when Microsoft started throwing like 30 odd million at a single person, after that audience, it kind of shows you, is there not enough people using the service? So they're going after these big Twitch streamers to get them on Mixer and hoping that they will bring the people across. Yeah. And I'm guessing that it hasn't worked as well as intended.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because like obviously the audience, we all have our own audiences, albeit nothing on the scale, maybe one day of the scale that Ninja's got. But you're right, to like uproot that audience and ask them to use another platform, it's a very hard ask when I think people get very comfortable with the systems and the apps they use. Like it goes back down to like how we use our mobile phones. Tend to be people who are big fans of iOS and Apple. Their entire home ecosystem is an iPad, it's an Apple Mac, it's an iPhone, it's AirPods, it's everything like that. Then you've got your Android and you've got your people who rely on Windows PCs. Once you're ingrained in that ecosystem, just because one bounces doesn't necessarily mean that the 100% of the millions of followers are going to follow suit. And with Mixer gone now, you'd like to think some are going to migrate over to YouTube. It's just kind of like it's a sorry tale. Unfortunately, I feel really bad for all the communities. I said earlier on Stadia Talk with Chase and Clive in the chat, I wanted their opinions on if YouTube. I know it won't, but if YouTube suddenly went tomorrow, like how screwed we'd be for our own like little communities we've got going. Because how do you get the message out to suddenly move over to like a brand new app, let alone Facebook Gaming? Meg, what's Facebook Gaming like in Canada? Is it a thing? Does anyone even know about it? Because I know nothing other than it's a thing on my app.
Yeah, I really didn't even know it existed until recently. And I saw a chart showing crazy growth numbers for Facebook Gaming, and it grew in the last year or two way more than YouTube or Twitch. And I was shocked. I was like, who is watching? I don't know who they are. I don't know who's streaming over there or who's watching it. But I do think it's smart because, I mean, Facebook isn't as popular as it used to be, but everybody in my family uses Facebook. And so it's a way, I think, to reach a broader audience. But I like YouTube. That's where I like to be.
Yeah. I think when we're talking growth numbers, the one thing we need to be careful of is growth isn't everything, because if you have a small audience, say if you have an audience of 100 people and you get another 100 people, that's a massive growth, but still only 200 people.
Exactly.
Yeah, very true.
That's where growth numbers alone can be very misleading, especially with Facebook, who who knows how they're counting views? If it's a push ad and you stop on it for half a second, is that counting as a view?
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
Facebook's renowned for being quite shady. I think, especially at the moment, there's loads of companies boycotting them from their marketing and their advertisement rules and stuff like that. For me, I think it is quite big. I think in like the Asian markets and Middle East, is what I've heard from some sources. For me, again, Facebook gaming not really a thing. In my opinion, I thought it was only mobile gaming and like the pop-up ads that you get sending you to like an app to download. This probably could benefit, I think, from Xbox's kind of input to it. Obviously, they have the games, they have the gaming infrastructure that Facebook maybe don't have already. And I think with xCloud being on the horizon, I think we should all be wary of that launching and having that Stadia-esque integration they've told us about, where you're going to scroll through Facebook, there's a game advertisement, there's the link, click to play it now, and bang, xCloud loads up. Just like we've been promised is going to work for Stadia, yet we're still waiting on that. Maybe at the Connect. But it seems like Richie, we spoke about on MM's show. It seems like a clever business strategy for one, mixers not doing the numbers they want. What better way than just to strategically partner with someone who has all the data, who has all the statistics? I'm sure they would have loved to go to Google for all that, but guess what? They already have their own platform to promote. Makes business sense in my opinion, but it's a hell of a lot of money to pour down the drain as well.
I think it's Facebook. They have a lot of money to pour down the drain, and well, I think the Microsoft links does give them legitimacy. Where I think Facebook gaming people go, as mentioned, mentioned Farmville. That is the perception of Facebook gaming. But now, if you're seeing something like I don't know, the next Halo, you're just scrolling through your Facebook feed and there's someone streaming Halo. Click in.
It's very interesting to see how this will be regulated going forward. Because in my opinion, if I was Google and I owned YouTube, I just want to put every gaming ad you see should be Stadia. Yet legally they're not allowed to do that because it's in their own interests and all that kind of thing. But then now Facebook gaming, like you said, Richie, if they're going to push xCloud, who's going to regulate? Because like I know all these big massive companies get loads of shit for not paying tax and stuff globally, and they make more than most countries do in like a financial year, that's crazy to think in its own right. And yet here we are, and now they're all kind of intercrossing and intersecting with their own business ideas, and it's just stuff we'll never really know. We just have to let it get on with itself.
What we need to remember about YouTube and the Stadia integration is they have plans to have kind of, you're watching a trailer, you're watching someone else play a game, one click and you're in. If you've seen a trailer that's cross-platform, that one click takes you to the Stadia version. So they are going to have a massive advantage there when that's fully integrated. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the biggest thing is it does add a bit of legitimacy to Facebook gaming. If it's Facebook and then you've got the Xbox logo, everyone knows what Xbox is. Whereas we said on MM show, we'd be surprised if you went out onto the high street right now, Meg, even though it's on lockdown, you went out and you asked people from a safe 2 meter social distance, do you know what Stadia is? What would you say out of 10 people? How many out of 10 would you think would even have a clue?
Honestly, probably none of them. I don't think random on the street. No, nobody would know.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think you'd be lucky if you got one, and that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have partnered with Facebook Gaming Stadia, as in we just go with them just to get the talk of the town.
Nice tasty contract with Mixer, then the have to pay us out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if Ninja now becomes exclusive over to Stadia. Could you imagine?
He'll be back on Twitch by the end of the month. By the end of next month. He'll take his money. He's exclusive. He's done. As soon as the platform's gone.
Yeah.
So he just goes back over Twitch.
Back to his original home.
Yeah, I think I'd just retire if I was him. A cool 60 million in the bank and everything else on top of that. How old is he? How old is Ninja?
You keep doing it because you love it. So
is he he must only be in his 20s still, Ninja, right?
Yeah, he's like 25 or 26 or something like that.
Awesome stuff.
We should start years ago, Chris.
Yeah, we should start many moons back. But speaking of time, anyway, we'll move on to our next story. We have kind of two big gameplay elements, two new hands-on previews and footage dropped this week for two massive games. We've got CyberPunk, which we won't go into the trials and tribulations of release dates and day and date and coming by the end of the year. We still have no update on last week from that, but Meg, we'll get your quick take while you are here with us along for the ride. Do you think it's coming day and date on Stadia, or do we think it's going to get pushed back even further into 2021?
I don't think it's coming day and date. I do think it will still be before the end of 2020. I was really hoping all the delays would mean that Stadia would have a chance to catch up, but I think the delays are just carrying over into getting it ready for Stadia. I would be amazing if it could come out day and date. There's been so much speculation and people are so excited for this game that I just think it would be such an easy way for people who want to play the game but don't have a console or a PC that can run it to play, and that would just be so great for Stadia. Unfortunately, I don't think I was hoping that by the time we hit like the year mark of Stadia launching that we would be getting all the games day and date, but it looks like we're just not quite there yet.
Yeah, we've joked out in the week that the biggest irony is that its new revised date is on the date of Stadia's 1-year anniversary, and it's not going to be there, and we were promised it at the beginning, and it's like, it's such a kick in the teeth if it's not there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Richie?
My thoughts 100%. The only thing, I don't necessarily need it day and day. I just want to know what the time difference is. Is it going to be a day? If it comes out the next day, I'll wait a day. If it comes out 2 months later, I'm buying it on PlayStation. Yeah.
Wow.
It's that roadmap. It's that clear roadmap we've spoke about forever. So all the press and the news outlets and stuff seemed essentially to get a hands-on preview of about an hour or so. I've watched a couple of bits of gameplay, and again, it looks just as good as I anticipated it to be. I've seen a few people saying you can tell it needs a bit more polish, which I think on a game of this scope, I'm not surprised. I know they've delayed it 2 or 3 times now. I'm not surprised it requires a bit more time in the oven. The biggest thing for me, which Richie, we touched on pre-show before Meg joined us, a lot of the press got hands-on with this from obviously their homes. They're all working from home. An interesting caveat for that was me is they played it using GeForce Now, which obviously in the world of cloud gaming is one of Stadia's rivals. Obviously, with it being delayed on Stadia, we knew it was never going to come across to that. It's a bit of a shame they weren't allowed to showcase it on Stadia. Could you imagine if all the CyberPunk press people were all sent a Stadia controller and they got basically an access code like Eddie did with Gods and Monsters or Orpheus a few weeks back, and they just said, here's your little Stadia press kit. Maybe he's even give them like a cool yellow CyberPunk Stadia controller just to like add a bit of hype to it. Here you go, press, all the infinite outlets in the world. Because you're working from home, obviously we can't get you all in one room and showcase it, but here's your press code, jump in, you can have 3 hours with it, play around, and then every story out there right now about Cyberpunk will have been, we played it on Stadia, it ran amazing. It's such a little thing that I wish could have happened, and instead now a few people that I've listened to said, we played it on GeForce Now, it works surprisingly well, my shitty old PC ran it really, really well, and all that's doing is adding to GeForce Now working, which we know works.
Yeah.
But
I think for me, it's given more strength to my argument where I think the reason that it's delayed on Stadia is because they're going to finish the other versions then port across. I think this is probably why they're not using Stadia, because that version doesn't yet exist. Where with using GeForce Now, I've said before, I see GeForce Now as a utility. They've got the PC version on their servers at full on settings, and then sending out the press. Here's the code. You can just tune in and play, and it's just easy. And they don't have to worry about sending physical media or sending codes. And do you want people reviewing this game on the PS4, PS5 version? I'd imagine they want people on the PS5 version for the reviewers to get the best possible experience. So this is probably just the easiest way that they could do that. Yeah.
It's one of those things. If you just took GeForce out and put Stadia in, I think it would just have added such a nice little sweet story to. Yes, it's delayed on Stadia, but look how well it runs to all the press who've maybe probably not even covered Stadia for a few months now. Like they only really pick up on the big stories. But
the other day I watched an unboxing of the Last of Us press kit, and it came in like a metal chest, and it looked absolutely phenomenal. I was like, I want that. There's like only 200 of them made. It's like, do that for Stadia would have been phenomenal. Yeah,
I'd love a neon yellow and pink Cyberpunk Stadia controller. That'd just be awesome. In terms of gameplay though, you two, did you get a chance to check out some of the new footage, some of the new kind of gameplay elements, mechanics? Any new takes on it, or are we just as hyped as ever?
I did see a little bit of it. I thought that the game looked really good. The Night City thing vibe is very dark. It seems very adult, like the dark humor and really dark themes that they're dealing with. So I do think it's kind of a very intriguing looking game, and the graphics looked really good. Like the people, it seems really vibrant and alive. The city, like the people seem really dynamic and interesting. So I think it's going to be a cool world to check out.
Yeah, I agree. Playing back to The Witcher, and like one thing CG Projekt Red done so well is make that world feel real and lived in. This seems to be doing it on a bigger scale.
Yep.
100%. The other game we also got as well, speaking of feeling lived in real characters, we've got some new gameplay and trailer drop for the new Avengers title, which is coming day and date to Stadia. We have that confirmed, so that is our next big AAA announced game that we know of, unless the Connect surprises us in 2 weeks' time. I feel like I've got new information on this, and my new take on this now is it's very much aiming itself to be the Destiny of kind of superhero games, the way you get all your breakdowns, your varieties of armor. You kind of seem to run raids or strikes or levels as a combination of different heroes, and you can customize yourself in such an intricate depth. I have a newfound interest in this game now. You two, did you check out some of the new footage of it? Where's your temperatures on this game? Richie, you can go first this time, I think. Give us your take.
I never really had any hype for it because I really wanted to see what the game was. I think that most of the hype came around that Avengers banner, the fact that it was branded as an Avengers game. And actually, the more I see, the less I really care. To be honest, I don't care about this game at the moment.
Okay. Black Widow, what do you think of the Avengers game featuring yourself?
I'm a little bit on the fence. I saw some of the footage. I didn't watch the entire kind of spot or reveal that they did, but I did watch some of the gameplay trailers. And I think it looks exciting and action filled, and I think it'll be fun to check out maybe some of the different powers that the superheroes have. But I generally find that games made from movies, like superhero movies and stuff, they don't always live up to the expectation of what you're hoping for. And I know like a lot of people have a lot of love for the Avengers. And so I do hope, and it's been mixed reviews from what I've seen. Some people say, wow, this actually looks really bad. And other people say, I'm really hyped to play this. It doesn't seem like it's unanimously everybody is excited for it versus say like CyberPunk. Everybody is like super positive on that game, but I've been hearing a lot of mixed things about this Marvel game coming out. So I think we'll just have to wait and see how it actually works when it comes out.
Yeah, it's got a very fine line, I feel, and we saw the backlash they got when it was first announced that none of the characters looked like their movie MCU counterparts, which they were always going to struggle with because the mainstream public now familiar with Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans and such. And as soon as you plaster that Avengers logo, like you said, Richie, the hype builds up and they hear the music and all that, and then you see them, it's like, it's not really like, without intentionally realizing it. Again, I've always referred to it as like things like the Lord of the Rings movies. Anything that's not the movie counterparts, I don't feel like I can relate to them as much because that I fell in love with it through the movies essentially. And I think MCU is like that for a lot of people now, a lot of Marvel fans. The only one they ever really seem to get away with is Spider-Man because the suit looks the same in any way you draw him, but he's not in this game, I don't think. So because Sony has the rights, so it's a bit of an awkward position to be in. They have said they're going to add new heroes and a lot of customization. It sounds like there's no microtransactions as such for anything other than customization elements, which I'm glad they came out and said. The weird thing for me is always that Square Enix doing it. It never seemed like a type of game that would be in their wheelhouse. So when they announced it and then we've seen the stuff roll out, I don't really have faith in them necessarily yet. In this type of game, if they gave it a Bungie, I'd be like, oh yeah, they know what they're doing. If they gave it to one of the other, like Ubisoft even, like they've been there, they've done that. With Square Enix, I don't really picture them in this market necessarily.
It's been published by Square Enix, but it's actually been developed by Crystal Dynamics, who did the first
Tomb Raider ones
games. So this is why initially, like, oh cool, they're going to make this like that single player. This is before we knew anything.
Tight story.
That single player tight narrative story, Uncharted, Tomb Raider-esque. But you're going to be playing as a member of the Avengers and that sort of thing. It's like, but no, they seem to be just going, oh no, it's going to be these mission based. You're going to be bouncing from character to character. It's like, I don't know. It's
It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. We definitely won't get it as a pro game, so we're definitely going to have to put our money where our mouth is on this one. Meg, if you've had a conversation yet, I'd be deeply, deeply disappointed if you and the guys at the Stadia Initiative, where all of you have your own personas derived from the characters from this game, do not do some kind of collective live stream where you all have your own characters. I'll be deeply disappointed if that doesn't happen.
I do feel that is going to happen. I agree with you. So I don't think we can avoid it at this point.
Yeah, you've kind of dug your own hole with that one, haven't you?
Yeah, we're going to have to check it out.
But yeah, I am excited about it. I think the Marvel world in itself, there's such a void at the moment because the cinemas have closed down. The Black Widow movie would have been out by now, if I'm not mistaken. That's been delayed and pushed back. We obviously were waiting on all the Disney Plus Marvel content to drop over the next couple of months as well. But we've had such a void. I don't think we've ever gone this long without a MCU movie. So I think the general public are almost like, I don't want to say falling out of interest with it, but there is that gap where they've traditionally just had beat after beat after beat every couple of quarter of the year. There's been something MCU related drop or announced, and everything's just quiet at the moment. And I think in terms of marketing, they've had a great 10-year run which built up to Endgame, and now it's kind of the game's just there to almost to pick up the slack, and it's not, like you said, it's not got the true reflection of that, and I think it just rubs some people up the wrong way, for better or for worse. But at least it's coming day and date to Stadia, eh?
Yeah,
that's the biggest. That's the biggest takeaway. That's the best thing. Get it together, CD Projekt. We know you can do it. Final couple of news stories of the week. Kind of just wrap up with what we've got relating to some updates for Stadia. So we know we've got the Kinect on the horizon. My take on the Kinect is that they're not going to necessarily spend too long talking about tech or features. They're just, as we know, Google just like to roll these features out stealthily, drop them when and if they're ready. But the guys over at 9 to 5 Google have done another APK file breakdown where they dig into all the Android app settings and find some unique things. Richie, any particular highlights this week that stand out from the feature drop that you're excited about or surprised about?
I'm not really excited or surprised about any of these features. I would definitely recommend people go read the Google Stadia 2.23 breakdown for more details. But yeah, there's more controls when coming to playing on mobile data. Family sharing's coming. We're getting some push notification, and more things like privacy settings are going to be ramping up. So it's a lot of these quality of life background stuff that it's nice to hear they're coming.
Yeah, it's good to see the comment. The biggest one for me is the mobile data. The fact that we can play Stadia legitimately without the requirement of a Wi-Fi connection. I've said a few times, I have my loophole way of doing that is I have a 4G tablet and I have a 4G phone as well. I turn my tablet into a hotspot and connect my phone to the tablet so it thinks it's running off Wi-Fi, whereas realistically it's just 4G on 4G. But the fact that I should be able to do that on my mobile device without the requirement of Wi-Fi, it'll just help me out when I'm on the move in hotels and travelling up and down. Meg, do you play on your mobile device at all, or are your iOS locked out at the moment?
I do. I have the Pixel 2, and so I do every once in a while play it, and I have the little the clip that I got from Eddie with the case and everything, and it works really well, so I do that occasionally. I'm happy because I know a lot of people do want to be able to play on their data. I only have 250 megabytes, if you can believe it, but my phone plan is less than $10 a month, so I do make that trade-off, right? So, but pretty much everywhere I go has Wi-Fi, so I'm not too worried about that, but a lot of people want that feature for when they're out and about, so I'm happy that that's coming. I also I think we've seen a couple things that maybe the chat messaging feature is coming, which isn't really exciting because it's so standard, but it's just oh, thank God, they've caught up finally, so I hope we do see that soon as well.
Yeah, there's a couple of new ones. I think family sharing is an important one because I think even very, very early doors for Stadia, there's a lot of news flung around saying if I buy this game and I have just multiple people in the household playing it, is it fair that my son can't play upstairs on the one Chromecast and I can't play on a Chrome browser when I bought the game? And it kind of falls back on the same rules and regulations PlayStation and Microsoft do. But it's great to see. I think it was GemTV captured a screenshot of it where it would traditionally say a game is already owned, it says shared instead in the icon, which again, great to see it's coming. I'm guessing they're just going to bring out a different tier for family sharing. So you've got Pro at $10, and then you've got family sharing at maybe $12.99 or something, like a couple of dollars more. Richie, any takes on that one for family sharing? Think it'll be cost more, or do you think it's just going to be all in free? You can share with up to maybe 3 other people.
I hope it's kind of share up. Maybe you have to register more. Like maybe you get like 1 or 2 accounts that you can register as just as part of the pro subscription, and maybe have it so you can pay extra to get more or something. Yeah, that's the model I personally would go like.
Yeah, almost like Netflix and Amazon, where you can limit it to like 3 other registered devices at any given time can play, but like you maybe limited to only playing 2 at a time, but you can have other devices registered. It's great though, like you said, Meg, to see these features finally coming about. Like chat is a big one. I think Richie, you, me, and Tom have only ever used the official like Stadia chat once for the Division 2. And I think after 5 minutes, we all bounced over to Discord instead because it was was appallingly poor. From the audio quality, the controls on the Chromecast Ultra just did not work or function, and especially when we've had like what a decade's worth of playing Xbox and PlayStation now, where it just works. You just connect up to your party and you're good to go. And yeah, it seemed like such a backward step. So it's great to see that they are working behind the scenes and finally bringing us a bit up to date with some. I want to say modern features, but they're not really modern. They're just kind of like...
They're not modern at all.
They should be standardised features, but it's good to see they're rolling them out behind the scenes. And yeah, that kind of... I mean, other little features they brought out this week. The Google Assistant now works in game, so you can press the little Google button on your the Google Assistant button on your controller and tell it to open up a game. It's a bit of a weird one because you have to be in the game for it to work. So then you're basically just switching between games. I've had it for a while with my home speakers where I can say, hey... blah blah, or play Red Dead Redemption on the living room TV, and it'll boot it all up and get ready to go. You still have to pay a controller, so it kind of defeats the object. You still have to log in with the controller, but it's getting there. It's getting it out there, and it's making it as most accessible as possible, which I think is always a good thing to do. And other than that, final news for the week, ladies and gents, is the 2 Metro games Stadia announced are now out live. They're good to go. Meg, what's your history with the Metro games? Love them, hate them, don't really care? What's the...
I have mixed feelings. I like survival games, but I don't really like kind of scary, creepy, kind of gruesome games, which this Metro kind of borders on. And I just kept getting... I meant to play the one that we got, Metro Exodus, but we got as a pro game like months and months ago, and it literally just keeps getting put on the back burner, so I haven't even played it yet. So I'm not super excited for these ones, and people were kind of like, okay, here they are, not super hype. But you know, I know that people in my community were happy to have them and kind of play them a little bit, but I think that it was just like, okay, these are ready, here you go. You know, Google didn't really make much of a big deal of releasing them either.
Yeah, I think our take on it, Richie, if you would like to check our take out, we actually dropped a video yesterday we played through Metro, and it was a free game back in February, the last time we were all allowed to see each other in the same room. We did like a weekend live stream, so with the Metro games coming out, if you're interested in any of them, we've clipped out the first kind of 3 hours of the game, playing alongside together. So if you look in the video and think, why are they not social distancing? It's about 4 months old, ladies and gentlemen, don't worry. We are not in the same room together. Just look at the length of our hair. That tells you how we're not in the current world we live in. But we played it for 3 hours. You can get our take on it there. I think the biggest thing for us, Richie, is we're a bit disappointed in like the kind of the final version of the game. For Metro Exodus being the latest one, it had such good things going for it, and then other things just kind of let it down in terms of like the story, or the way the game evolved. The gameplay wasn't as probably fluid as we wanted. Some beautiful moments, some great storytelling, but then, like you said, Meg, on it tries to lean into the horror, but it never quite commits, so it gets lost kind of what it wants to be, almost.
Yeah, I think the sort of games that either into it or you kind of not, and I was not really into it. For me, there was just too many systems that got in the way of me trying to play the game. Yeah,
just actually enjoy it. Especially, I think since then, there's so many games that shooters especially we're used to now. You can pick up a controller and play a shooter by default without having to do anything, and I think Metro for me tried to add more layers to that, where I spoke about at the start of the episode how bad I am at combinations and multitasking, so giving me several different skill tree sets to like manage within the story and within the action going on. But go check out our first 3 hours there. It is available to view now. As we wrap up the show, we've got a Patreon question brought in as well. Speaking of the Stadia features we just touched on, Ashley, one of our patrons, wrote in at patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia, just like you can if you want your topics and questions read out for the show. And funny enough, she lost her Stadia controller this week, which led to a very specific feature that she'd like. She would love to be able to ask Google to find my controller. So if anyone's lost their phone in the past, all modern phones now, you can find my iPhone, you can find my Samsung phone through a search app, and it shows you where it is on a map. Or more importantly, in the house, if I lose my phone, I can tell my speaker to find my Samsung, and it makes it ring. Even if it's on silent, it makes it come alive and make a noise. Could you imagine a little Stadia controller like trapped behind the couch doing a little jingle for you and you can find it there?
Well, there's no speaker built into the controller, but you could definitely make it like vibrate.
Oh, yeah.
Or a version of the Stadia controller with a little speaker or something. But yeah, I think it's a brilliant idea of just further integration into like Google Smart Home system.
Yeah, get it all in there, make it light up, make that little orange light on the front whiz around until you can find it. But off the back of that, she asks also, what specific features would you like to see to come to Stadia in the future, which I think ties in nicely with kind of our short question for you, Meg, before we do wrap up. What would you like to see from the Stadia Connect, whether it be features, games, big announcements, tech drops, like what? So 2 weeks' time, we get our big reveal. What would you like to see? What are you hoping for?
Features, definitely. The last Stadia Connect was just games, and that was awesome, and I was hyped for it. But we have been hearing about these fancy Stadia features that are only available because it's cloud and all of these integration with YouTube and this stuff, and we haven't really seen any of it yet. So I know that Creta is launching with State Share Beta, where you can just kind of create a link and send it to your chat or your friends or whoever, and just with one click they're put right into the game you're working on or that you're playing already. So that's kind of the start of it. I also know that Wavebreak has a message somehow that will pop up and say something about broadcasting the game. And I'm really hoping we see this direct to YouTube Stadia streaming feature come in. For myself personally, because of my internet issues right now, it would be amazing. I could get really back into live streaming and making that type of content. So I'd really like to see some of those features, as well as crowd choice. I would love that. I would love if they dropped out of this Connect, where you're in a game and you're faced with a choice and your viewers can basically vote on what's going to happen. And I like to do that kind of informally and like give people the choice and either do a little poll in chat or just see what's the most popular answer is. But to have that actually built in, I think would be so fun. So I really hope, and I also think that we're going to have Apex drop during, just like they did for PUBG. I know everybody says that, and I think that with that EA kind of they accidentally said it. So I'm pretty sure like that everybody is saying that that's going to happen, and I really hope it does, because Apex is going to have crossplay with everything. Yeah, and Stadia needs that so badly. We have crossplay with PC in a few games, but we need to have a game that we can play with Xbox, that we can play with Switch, even it's coming to Switch, so that people are seeing Stadia players on other platforms, playing with their friends, on a free game that's available on any platform. I think we need more of that kind of stuff to come to Stadia. And I also predict they're going to drop a big game that no one saw coming, that possibly we've never even heard of, that is exclusive to Stadia. It might be a little early for that, and I could just be wishful thinking, but I really think they need something big like that to kind of really make a big splash in gaming for this summer.
Interesting.
Yeah, going back to the crowd choice stuff, I just thought of how cool that would be if you're streaming something like a Telltale game and you're really playing through it with your audience.
The Telltale have already done that within the games. You can make decisions through your phone devices. But yeah, I think loads of great features, announcements there, Meg. Fingers crossed for like big game drops. Even if we are years away, they could have rendered a lovely, like, gorgeous trailer and something like Unreal, the new Unreal Engine, just to showcase something in the future, a couple of concept bits of art, just something to tease us, I think, and say, look, you do have a AAA exclusive game coming down the pipeline, and this is like our sneak preview of what it is. I mean, they've got to have been working on some of the games for like over half a year now, so they've got something, but is it ready to show off? We can dream. We can dream.
Exactly.
And Richie will save your predictions for one of the later episodes where we're going to do pizza bets. I think we have to say Apex is off the table because it's not really fair if we all say whoever gets Apex seems like a shoe-in. Yeah, we'll all share pizza for that one. But yes, thank you for those predictions, Meg. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to an end of today's show. It's been, once again, we've gone over the hour mark. We always will now. I don't know why we keep referring to it as an hour-long podcast, because we've not done it ever, whether with guests or without. But I just want to say a massive thank you to Meg for joining us again. Before we do wrap up, would you like to just tell everyone again a little bit about your channel, where they can find you, what you're up to at the moment, once your internet's fixed?
So it's youtube.com/MegatronX, and I do Stadia live streams and Stadia gameplay videos. My next video will be dropping on Monday, which is June 29th. It's going to be a sneak peek look at a new game that's coming to Stadia that actually has not been released yet. Ooh. So keep an eye there. And for things I do not on my channel, make sure you follow my Twitter, which is Meg_Atron_.
Lovely. And Richie, do you want to plug anything while you're here?
No, I'm good.
No, just say that. Nice and easy. That's all right. I'll plug the channel. So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, the Sounds of Stadia podcast, which Richie is a partnership of, he's forms of, is bringing us the another Assassin's Creed soon, probably be coming out this Thursday as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Tom, once he's set out his moving date, he's going to do some more Elder Scrolls stuff, so keep that checked out as well. We've got some probably secret stuff in the pipeline for what our next Let's Play series will be. Now, Richie's wrapped up with Lost Words. Don't forget to head over and check that out. But as always, keep it locked to our Twitter account, which is just @SoundsOfStadia. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe the video down below. We'd massively appreciate your love and support. And if you haven't already done so, head over to Meg's channel again. Check her out. Check some of our live streams out, especially this exciting new game that you've just teased to the world right now. That's coming. Not even announced. Can't wait to see what that is. But once again, massive thank you for me. Thanks for filling in for Tom this week. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on board. Thank you to everyone who's watched. My name's been Chris.
I've been Richie.
And I'm Meg.
Yes, you did it better than Richie or Tom usually does in the episode as well. We've been Sounds of Stadia, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great week, and then play some games. See you all soon. Goodbye.